Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January meeting of Hayfield Parish Council, and Happy New Year to everyone. I received apologies for absence. Have we got any, Andy? We're all here as parish councillors.
Full house.
Okay. Does anyone propose a variation of order of business? No. Okay. Declaration of interest. Has anyone got any declarations to make?
I would not enter the debate anyway, but I have an interest in planning 10A, and therefore I will request one of you formally say what the minute is going to be, and then I'll do it verbatim.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'm just going to admit the representative of the police.
Dave Toft.
Yeah, it's just if anything comes up under allotments, my wife has a quarter of an allotment.
As much as that. Lisa.
Just planning on the grouse.
Right.
Don't know what number it is. Sorry.
Yeah, and you've got an interest there, have you? Oh, it's the building work, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No one else.
Mm-mm.
Oh, Eve, is that your hand up?
Me? No.
Oh.
It's my basket.
Oh, right. Sorry.
I'll move
I
it.
won't inquire about your basket. Okay. Are there any item 4 to receive appropriate approve request for dispensation in which they have a pecuniary interest? Has anyone? No. And item 5 to determine which agenda item should be taken in part 2. I don't think we've got anything that this evening, which brings us to item 6. Now, have we got a representative from the police, Andy?
Alan, have you got your volume on, Alan?
I can see him.
We can see you. We can't hear you, Alan.
Are you muted, Alan?
No.
No, I can hear him now.
No, you can't. I don't think so.
I can't.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can't, no.
Alan, try talking.
No.
I don't think your microphone's on, Alan.
Something amiss with your microphone.
Technology is wonderful, isn't it?
Alan, if I put you back in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Oh,
we can hear that.
We can hear you now.
Ah, got you. I think what it was, sorry about that, folks. I think what it was, there was a notification came up saying I had to allow the microphone.
Okay.
So, good evening.
Welcome. Nice to see you. The floor is yours. Please.
Okay. Well, really, I think the main purpose of me being here this evening is basically just to introduce myself. I know I have exchanged emails with one or two of you, and I've met Eva on a number of occasions. Just looking very quickly at the screen, I don't actually recognise any other faces, but I'm sure we've had some contact along the way. But basically, I became the PCSO for both the Hayfield and New Mills beats in March last year, just as the COVID regulations were kicking in. So obviously, I've not previously been to any of the parish council meetings. As I say, what contact I have had with you has been somewhat limited up to now. I haven't got any particular issues that I need to bring up to the meeting this evening, but I will just mention, you're probably all aware of a little bit of a rash of criminal damage that was created. I think it was on Christmas Eve, or was it Boxing Day night? One side or the other of Christmas anyway, where there was somewhere in the region of 14 vehicles damaged in one evening. It is an ongoing investigation, but we have got 2 culprits. Obviously, I can't give you much more information than that, but 2 local lads, one of whom has already admitted his part in it, the other one of which is yet to be interviewed. But really, I mean, it was quite an extensive incident, really. The fact that there were so many vehicles damaged in one evening, I'm sure is a bit of a concern to the community. But it was really just to reassure you that we have looked into it, we've checked CCTV, we've been given some names, we've interviewed one of them, and we're quite confident that we know who both the culprits are. But we've just yet to interview the second one. I think it's tomorrow, actually. The second one is being interviewed, so it is being dealt with. I think really, from a Hayfield point of view, that was probably my lot. I know we're still having problems either up at Kinder Road, with people coming up and parking very nearly and going off walking. That should, with the current regulations, that should reduce, because people just simply aren't supposed to be travelling out of their own areas. But we'll deal with what comes along as and when it does. Is there anything that members of the council want to speak to me about? Yes, Eva.
It's one thing I've been on to. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, there's an echo on yours for some reason.
I've been on to 101
yes.
asking if they will show the presence of it at the car park, because they're still coming from a long distance away. They have been today. And I'd like this opportunity to thank you for all your work you do for us in the valley and in the village. Thank you, Alan.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Eva. That's what we're here for. Yeah, I am aware that there was one day in particular last week that there was, I think it was Saturday, in fact, that was an excessive problem. Unfortunately, you may not be aware, we had a very high-risk missing person in New Wales, and there was a lot of manpower put to searching for the lady that had gone missing. So even though I was aware that the problem was there, I just simply couldn't have come up because I was assigned to a missing person.
But apparently, can they not be fined if they come from a long way off?
That's a possibility I'll have to look into. At the moment, I think it's under guidelines rather than enforceable laws. But the guidelines are that people should really, when they say do not travel, they're saying really that unless you're going for, the usual reasons, i.e. going for work or education or for medical or to give care to somebody, really you shouldn't be leaving your own area, you shouldn't be leaving your own town, village, part of the city that you live in or whatever. We are waiting for a little bit of guidance at the moment as to what the constabulary's policy on it is going to be. But yes, we do think that there may be a point for us to actually be checking vehicle registrations, and if they're not from the area, turning people away.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nick.
Alan, just like to echo what Eva was saying. Thanks a lot for your vigilance up there by the Bowden Bridge car park. I remember speaking to you up there about a couple of months ago. You probably won't recall, but I'd just like to say today, when I was walking past Bowden Bridge and down Kinder Road back to the village, must have been around about 1 o'clock. There must have been at least 30 cars parked along Kinder Road on the left. Obviously, because there's the yellow lines now on the right, but they weren't parking in the car park. And as you say, it might be a good idea to start toughening it down there, if it's possible.
Yeah, as I say, I am waiting for a little bit of guidance on the subject, but certainly I'll be doing what I've been doing for the last few months, and that is coming up and engaging with the workers, etc., and trying to advise them as best I can. But when the policy decision comes through and it's a little bit clearer, you know, if indeed there is positive action we can take, then we'll be doing that as well.
I noticed in the Delhi paper today there was an incident in Bamford where 11 men had come up from London to walk, and the police became involved because one of them managed to turn his car over on the way home, and they'd just come up here for a walk. Not only had one turned his car over, but out of the other 2 vehicles that they travelled in, which of course they shouldn't have done, one of them wasn't taxed, so it was impounded by the police. And I noticed that the other Saturday when the snow was bad, reports that people were coming from Barnsley and South Staffordshire and all over to the Peak District, and they got stuck and had to be rescued. So people are still travelling.
Definitely.
Yes, yeah. And as I say, we will certainly look at what we can do about that. I don't know whether Lee Baker has actually physically spoken to any of you about this, but he has come up with an idea whereby perhaps we could fund some signs, maybe along the lines of, you know, Hayfield welcomes visitors, but just at the moment, you know, we shouldn't be coming out of your own area. Look forward to seeing you again, you know, when the COVID regulations are relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, and putting joint sort of, you know, Hayfield emblem and police emblem on it. But that's certainly an idea that Lee Baker has come up with, and I think that's something that we'll certainly look at the feasibility for.
I'd be interested to know, it's not on the agenda item tonight for taking a decision, but it falls within the power of the chair and in conjunction with the clerk. What are councillors' views about putting signs up saying that normally we would welcome you, but in the present circumstances we don't. We don't want visitors. Whatever the exact wording might be, but that's the gist of it.
I think for Kindred it'd be ideal, because one day we're not going to be able to get up with the ambulances and the fire engine.
Does anybody else have a view on it?
Well, I think that, you're right. We do welcome visitors all time at normal times, but things are not normal at the moment. So I think mine might be appropriate, just to say, you know, we'd lovely to see you when things are right, but at the moment we don't think you.
All right, Lisa, and then Dave Toft. Lisa, can you hear me, Lisa?
Vote against that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I would vote against that. I'm sorry.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, just 2 things. One is practical. Alan, are you listening on speakers?
I am, yes.
I think that's what's causing a problem for us. We're getting feedback.
Right.
Are you able to just listen on your computer? What's happening is we're hearing ourselves come through back into your microphone.
Right. That shouldn't really be happening from this end. What I can do when I'm not speaking is I can mute my microphone, and then we'll see if that helps.
That should help.
It might make a difference. Yeah, that's made a huge difference.
Much better. Dave.
So just on that, I just think we've got to be a bit careful about it. There are huge problems on Kinder Road in particular, obviously, and we're doing everything we can and working with DCC. And I can't see any reason why we shouldn't have signs asking people not to all go down there. But sorry, we've got to be careful about visitors as such, because what if other villages did that as well? So we couldn't go and visit the vet, for instance, in Staley Bridge.
I think
it seems to make sense that we don't let people in, but what if everybody else did that?
I just to add some meat to the bones. This was Lee, as Alan said, Lee Baker, who's the PCSO supervisor, asked if I'd just raise it as a consideration, and he understood how delicate this was. And he was thinking of the lockdown bit. And as Alan said, he's still waiting, or the Derbyshire Constabulary haven't put out their practical policies and guidelines yet, as in what affirmative action you would take. And he was suggesting wording along the lines, and not bang in the middle of the village, but as you come into the village, along the lines of, do you really need to be travelling? Stay at home, save lives. And here's an interesting one we don't know yet, as Alan said. Is it statute? Local travel only? It's the law. Don't get caught out, know what you can do, essential travel only. And so Alan, Lee, just wanted you to have a think, and he knows you can't decide tonight. And as Tony said, carry on your debate, but that's what he understands, that it's a rather delicate balance. And yeah, please carry on your debate.
Anybody else got anything to? Jackie?
It strikes me that if people had driven up from London, they wouldn't be deterred when they arrived and found a small notice. You know, they've put too much effort into the trip to abort it at the last minute, really.
Eva, and then we'll move on.
On Saturday morning, it was chock-a-block, and there is a sign at Rose's, which I asked him to put out again, and it said road closed. And the effect was absolutely fantastic. They all turned round and filled the bus station up. So if that went out earlier, it would ease the situation in Kinder.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
I'm not sure about the ethics of that, Eva. I like the result, but I'm not sure about the ethics. Anyway, let's move on. Alan, have you anything else to add? That was.
No, I've nothing specific. As I say, I had nothing specific really this evening. It was more a case of just introducing myself and seeing if there was anything that was concerning yourselves that I should be looking at.
Has anyone got anything anything else they want to raise? No, I don't think so. Well, Alan, thank you very much for making the effort to attend. It's good to put a face to the name. I certainly appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And I would just hasten to add that certainly Andy Barker has got my contact details. I think Eva has as well. So if any of you need to contact me at any stage, do feel free to obtain those details from either of those, and I'll be only too glad to help.
That's grand. Thank you very much indeed.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to, have you anything to say as the Borough Councillor, Eva?
All I want to say is, like I thanked Alan, if you want anything done in the area, if you get in touch with Alan, he soon gets things in motion, and I really appreciate his support and help.
Okay. Yeah, well, it was good to see him. I have nothing to say at this stage. Be glad to know. Which brings us. Oh, is anyone parish councillors? They haven't declared an interest, so that doesn't really apply in 6B. Item 7, minutes of the previous meeting. Unless anyone wants to raise anything, could I have a mover for the?
I'll move them.
Thank you. Seconded by Dave Toft. All in favour? Thank you. And to note the minutes of the 16th of December finance meeting. I'll move those. Oh, sorry, Jackie, you're going to propose them. I'll second them. Dave?
All in favour, yeah.
Okay. Chair's announcements. Well, the incidents just on Christmas Eve we've just gone through, which I was going to make a note about, but I think also that what I'd like to say is that, you know, so many good people in the village, and it is heartening. I know that a Chinley woman lost her purse. The purse was found, but unfortunately, £180 cash that she had in it was missing. And it went around on Facebook. There was a whip round generally. In fact, I think from memory, it was something like £470 was raised.
No,
So
800.
was it as much as that? Oh God.
They gave 500, I think it was, to Crossroads, Tony.
That's right. That's right. I was going to say, and she got her money back, and the remainder went to Crossroads there. So that was a good thing. And then, of course, we had the New Mills lady that went missing at the weekend, and the police helicopter was out. But so too was the mountain rescue, and the pub. Instead of closing at the usual time, they stayed open for people who are out looking for them, supplying them with free soup and hot chocolate and the like. So, you know, it really is heartening to be living in an area where people do go out of the way to help one another. So, nice to see. So, moving on, the clerk's report. Andy, have you anything to add to?
Not really. I didn't have, Christmas, the lights, they went very well, fortunately. I got the answer about the map catalogue. That's a project for me. I can digitise things over 70 years of age. Community orchard projects. I actually did get a sort of answer, recultivation licences, but didn't get the answer as to whether we had them. I was talking about the bypass where the work's going on, and I asked twice whether we had a licence, and the reply was, in effect, even if you did have a licence, we wouldn't let you plant trees there now. So I have to send an email back saying, thank you very much, but could you answer my question? So the only other thing of note is I managed to get all the bills out for the allotments today, which has nearly killed me, at 50 odd emails. So there's some income coming back in. And the only thing I was going to raise, you've already discussed, which was the request from Lee Baker about signage. Any questions? Oh, the only other thing, we left the lights on the bridge running on a timer, so we thought people might enjoy or appreciate a little bit of light in the current lockdown, and only for the current lockdown. I'm just wondering if you've got any objections to the fact I've done that.
Right, looks good.
Okay, that'll do.
Really good. Yeah.
Andy, I think on behalf of all of us, I'd like to thank you regarding the lights. And, you know, it has been a difficult year. It was difficult Christmas time. But I think, you know, the lights and also the display, the nativity display. I do think that perhaps round about May, June time, we should put the nativity display on the agenda, because I think the time has come to have a look at it. It could do with a bit of a refurb. So
yeah, painting and decorating the inside.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. Okay, thanks for that. Anyway, all your efforts. Anybody Dave's got a query? Have you?
It's not. It's just to echo thanking, and the display in the parish council basement there was delightful.
Lisa. Lisa.
Thing window display, Andy, was spot on.
Oh, good.
Yeah, perfect.
That's what I had my hand up to say. The kids loved it on the walk back from school. In every evening, they just used to stand by the window, and it's just child size, you know, they can look through. So yeah, much appreciated it.
Very good, Andy.
Yeah, the only downside was when I brought it home to dismantle it today and forgot that I hadn't stuck the snow down.
So you got careful of snow.
There you go.
I bet Mrs. Barker said, "Oh dear," did she?
Yes, she's very impressed. Yes.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 10, the planning. The first one is 0219, which is the land adjacent to 8 New Mills Road.
I'm just going to disappear for this one, so no influence.
Okay. Has anyone got any comments that they'd like to make on it? Martin.
I think it's still got the problems with the visibility, and the conservation officer was picking up that you've got to have that wall is integral to the conservation area, and that's in the way of the visibility, and they haven't taken into consideration the trees. They got rid of a house and pushed the road over, but it made it like a snake exit, which is terrible. I don't think it's allowed, and they were trying to reduce it down to a private roadway to get round regulations altogether. It's still got lots of problems, and I'm against it.
Okay, Dave Toft.
Yeah, I mean, it's on one of the most dangerous bends in the village, and I can't believe that it has the full visibility either side. So I think we should draw attention to that yet again. Actually, we've done this before, haven't we? It's been up before us
Yes.
a couple of times, but I mean, it really is a dangerous place, and I don't see that they've actually addressed that visibility issue at all. So,
Eva.
I'm totally against it for the reasons that have already been stated. That corner is dangerous and it's disaster waiting to happen, and I'm totally against it.
I think, my view is that the walls are an issue. I think it's quite a complicated one, because I'm really, really opposed to the 4-bedroomed house at the back, which you come around the bend, it's clearly visible, and from the Step Valley Trail. But I'm also opposed to the terrace. It's just that I'm more opposed to the 4-bedroom. So I think it needs to be worded carefully. As far as I can see, the visibility display, they've moved the entrance, claiming that it makes it better. But on the other hand, they're quoting the same distances that they were previously quoting. So that doesn't add up. The access to me seems to be narrower than it previously was. There's 3 entrances to the terrace of 3 houses. Well, more and more nowadays, people get deliveries at home, whether it be groceries or whether it be Amazon or whatever. What's going to happen? Vehicle's going to pull up on the verge there, and it's going to become even more hazardous. So I think that is a concern. Presumably, the bins are going to go on the front of the property. So I think were county highways not to object to this, I think we should ask the borough, in these times of remote meetings when they can be easily available, I think we should ask the borough to attend the meeting and explain to the committee how the displays work. Let's see what the county highways say. I very much hope that that they will repeat their objections that they made on the previous application. Jackie.
If the county highways are the statutory body responsible, then their say-so is much more powerful.
You're absolutely right. As the statutory body, they guide the borough regarding these things. But I'll tell you what I did. There was an application near me at work, which I was opposed to, and the Stockport Highways said that it complied. Now, as a layman, I looked at it and I thought, I don't think that does comply. I took advice from somebody else who wasn't qualified but had more knowledge than me, and they agreed with me. So I engaged some road engineers, and they came up with all these calculations and photographs, and that cost me a lot of money, I'll tell you. But they rubbished the report from the highways, who then backtracked on their report. Now, I don't think that as the parish council we should be adopting it, but it's something that's open to the local residents. But it is a very costly exercise. But they, yes, they are the people. But on the other hand, I have seen them got round, not necessarily in Derbyshire, but elsewhere. Again, Jackie.
Yes, it is of importance to us all because it affects all the road users. It's not like we're being picky neighbours or anything like that. It will affect every single road user.
Yes. So, Martin.
They've tried to reduce the road from 4.8 to 4.5 to make it a private road, so that get around regulations. And also, someone brought up that they need to get the refuse lorry down to the house to empty the bins, because you're not allowed to go a certain distance with your bin. So again, with the tree roots and everything like that, they're trying to get round it, basically.
Okay, so I'll make some I'll make some notes over the next day or so and get back to Andy with our objections. Is that okay? Andy, are you going to rejoin the meeting?
Hang on. Am I back? Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. So 10B 0545 20 Church Street, Hayfield. Eva.
My concern is that this could end up being split off to a holiday cottage. And I think it needs drawing to their attention, if they get it for extension to the house, that it can't be split off, some sort of a clause, if that's possible.
Well, I think that will be subject to a separate planning application, Eva. What's before us is an extension to the house, and that, you know, that's what we need to comment on. If at a later date they talked about splitting it off into a holiday cottage, and I suspect that the county highways might make a comment about that as well. So if we can just take the application we've got in front of us and any comments that there are about that. No comments? Okay, Andy, no comment. 1 New Mills Road, Birch Vale. Proposed detached building to provide living accommodation and replacing existing garage. Martin.
We've rejected this before.
Okay, on what grounds?
Well, it's being built in the quarry. It's using the next door neighbour's actual roadway and everything like that, and it was rejected and everything like that. There was quite a lot of thing. I think it was what was it?
It was a garage.
It was 216 0562. That was the retrospective application to regulise unauthorised engineering works and landscaping at the time.
Well, I'll give you my view on it. It's a shared drive, so but my feeling of it is, whilst I wouldn't object to them having this building, the thing that bothers me is the proximity to the house nearby, and I think I think that's one of my concerns. You know, because it is quite a high building to suddenly appear where this single garage is. So I would propose that that we object on the siting of the building, and that also it should be subject to agreement that it's that it is a dependent relatives and will be sold as one property.
And it's inappropriate materials as well.
Right. Are you okay with that, Andy?
Yeah.
We all happy with those
materials?
Yeah.
Inappropriate material.
Okay. 125 Kinder Road, 0540. Has anyone got anything to say about that?
No objection.
No comment. And the grouse 0558. Now, they've got the planning already. It's amendment to the building regs. Has anyone any comment? Not building.
It's not,
it's not the building regs, but yeah, it's
no,
the drive.
they've changed it from 2 to what was
6 to 8 to 6.
It's 8 to 6.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the materials are all right for Marple, but not for here. Again, it's inappropriate materials. They should be using artificial stone, slate, and because it's an exposed site, and the render's just going to go rotten within a short time. Basically, they're using the wrong materials, inappropriate materials again. We're in the kind of the great.
Well, I thought the local houses, some of them were brick.
Yes, they
Last
are.
time I walked up Moorland Road.
The one on the corners,
Yes.
quite a distinctive colour of brick.
Yes.
Straight to opposite the side of the grounds. Kath.
Yeah, it's nothing relevant, but I used to live on one of the semis just on next to the grouse there. And Andy Hardman, who lives on Moorland Road, his mother used to have the pub years and years ago as a pub and a petrol station many years ago. And I'd wondered about that, but I looked in the letters from the consultation with the neighbours, and Andy had written in to say that there's probably a huge petrol tank under the car park still that might be contain some fuel from the old days when there was when there were 2 petrol pumps outside there. So, but they have found them, so there's not going to be a terrible disaster if a spark accidentally got into it. So I was interested. I was interested in the whole planning thing because there is a lot of flooding down that road as well. I don't know quite how they're going to deal with all that. That road was quite often flooded, and the whole of the pub was. They always had to have sandbags up and things.
The pub has been flooded twice in the last 3 years. I do know. I went past once, and there were quite a few things that stacked outside because they've been flooded. The road is an issue because stone keeps getting swept down the road and across
the New Mills Road.
New Mills Road there. Yeah. Personally, I don't have any objection to this, but if should we sort of take the middle ground? And I thought it had been approved already.
Yes, I did.
The materials.
Well, there must have been some reserved matters.
I think it's the access, isn't it? That's the
yes.
And I don't have an objection to that.
Okay.
It's not the materials; it's the entrance.
Yeah.
But no, it was part of the report. If you read the whole report, it goes into all these sort of things. But I mean, I still think with the pub, it's been divided into, is it 3 to 4 dwellings?
Yeah, but the permission's been got already. Has been granted already.
That's nearly finished. Yeah.
But the parking bit for those dwellings, there's only 4 car parking spaces. Whereas all those houses have got two spaces for each house.
Yeah, but that again, that will be a planning issue, because once upon a time you used to have to have 1.6 houses on a development site. You used to have 1.6 parking spaces, but now there's no minimum. Dave Toft.
Yeah, we're just being asked to comment on the approval of the reserved matters, aren't we?
Conditions. Yeah.
Just those reserved matters, which is mainly the access, as far as I mean, the rest, it's not for us, in a sense, to comment on materials or anything at this stage.
No.
It's been approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. So it's the access basically, and I would propose no comment.
Yeah, certainly.
I agree.
Okay. All those in favour of no comment. Thank you. Right, that's the planning applications. Item 11, which is making the finance meeting a budget meeting. I think self-explanatory in the agenda. Do you want to add anything further, Andy, or does it need anything? I don't think. I'm not sure.
I don't think it really. Jackie might want to add, but because budget meeting. Well, the budget meeting.
Propose it.
Oh right, get on with it.
Propose it.
Seconded, Dave. Okay, all those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. Great. Parish councillor vacancy. Andy, do you want to kick us off on this?
A couple of facts and figures. The monitoring officer, Mark Trello's office, are anxious to know whether we're going to advertise our vacancy since Jonathan left for some time. I asked them sort of cost implications and when things would happen. If we advertise our vacancy and an election is called in, it will happen to coincide with the county elections. I think they're in May, are they? April or May?
First Thursday.
Really, the church hall will already be in use. The staff will be in, so it would be. It's not cheap, but it's as inexpensive as it can be, as the resources and the council officials would be shared, and they're just keeping their eyes on it and want to know if we wish to proceed. Now, obviously, if the conditions for election don't happen and co-option takes place, then that is free of charge and would happen sooner. The decision, of course, rests with yourselves.
Any thoughts, anyone?
Can I just ask, how many vacancies are there?
One.
Just the one.
One.
It's Jonathan, when Jonathan resigned.
And that's the Hayfield West ward, which has 2 councillors and only has 1 at the moment, the chair.
Does anybody have any comments on whether they think we should go to election or?
I think it's out of our hands because the clerk posts the notices, and if 10 people sign and say they want an election, then there will be an election.
I don't post the borough.
The borough do it.
Borough do it, but we have to fire the starting pistol, as it were, at our behest. Election, but you're right. Yes, if those notices are posted and that number of people notified, then it becomes a proper election. If they don't, then it's in our hands to co-opt by whatever procedures we see fit.
Andy, what's the situation at the moment? Is there any special dispensations? I mean, are we obliged to fill it under the conditions we're under at the moment?
People are being nice to us. Should we say that the law says as soon as is practicable, and it's considered it wasn't particularly practicable at the time, and they're being quite generous by me saying, do you mind if we wait a few months? They understand, because an election isn't going to take place till May, but May is approaching. I think that's what's on their mind. It's time.
So what's the lead time for to meet the deadline of a May election? When would we have to start?
I don't actually know, Jackie.
Because I think that there are time scales for each of the stages, aren't there?
There will be.
Put up a notice and the people have so many weeks to respond.
I think they only have about 14 days.
That's right to me.
21 at the most.
So we could work out when is the parish council meeting at which we would have to make a decision to go ahead. Does it have to be January, or could it be February or March?
No, it could be the 3rd of March meeting, I'm sure.
Yes.
It might be best to postpone it. Then, because the situation is changing so rapidly.
It is
not ideal at the moment for a new councillor, is it? From their own point of view.
No, that's very true. I'm not. It's a very good point. I just say that I'm not 100% sure that we will have May elections. I'll get my words out. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'll give you the timing. We should declare the vacancy within a reasonable time, which has been elongated. Must publicly notify that this is happening. Doesn't give me a time limit on this, but I think it's 2 weeks. If a poll is claimed by 10 electors, then the election must take place within 60 days of the notice of the vacancy. the poll must be claimed within 14 days of the public notification. So that means if we declare we're going for it, the borough puts up the notice. They've got 14 days for 10 electors to claim it. If 10 electors have claimed it, then it says we need to go to the polls within 60 days, but we can't at the moment because of COVID. So the earliest day.
I mean, Tony said just now we might not be having elections if the conditions aren't right. So we wouldn't really want to put a notice up and get people requesting an election, and then we can't hold it within 60 days, do we?
But as I understand it, talking to the office, they're aware of that, but the current restrictions trump that bit of legislation. You can't have the election in 60 days, therefore you hold it as soon as reasonably practicable. And the next date they're looking at is May. The other flip side is that if the election isn't called, then you may co-opt. But you're right, the time is still on your side.
Yeah.
Can we just keep it under watch, really, and put it onto the next or the March meeting?
Yeah. I'll phone the office and say, are we testing your patience, or are you accepting with us just holding fire?
Andy, I would think that they would be would be welcoming this.
Yeah.
They're probably fearful at the moment about the May elections. I would guess. So I think that we're doing them a favour in a sense by being inactive.
Right.
Okay. So are we all happy with that? I've not had a proposal, but we're all happy with that? Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
great. So 13, Solar House Lane traffic calming. Is this you, Mick?
Dave.
No, it's me, Tony.
Excuse it, Dave.
Yeah, what it is that going back to about 2015, 2016, we were in contact with Steve Alcock over a number of issues, the yellow lines and so on, and he suggested or made us aware of some DCC schemes. He was pilot schemes, one of which was proposed for Glossop, and whereby a whole area would be declared a 20-mile-an-hour zone, and various means of passive calming, chicanes, road markings, things like that would be implemented to bring about the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. Now, what happened after that, that sort of all went quiet. We as a council said we would follow that up with Steve Alcock, and we did actually correspond with him, I think, to ask that we be included in a pilot just to see how that went. Nothing came of that as such. In between then, we looked at the traffic calming on Swallow House Lane. And again, nothing has now come of that. Steve Alcock did his very best on that, of course, but that again has failed. Now, we've been talking an awful lot about the problems we have with traffic because of visitors, and there's no doubt that that is a serious problem. But a lot of the problems we have in the village aren't just there. Times when visitors are here. It's a village that wasn't built for any cars, and most people now have cars. A lot of the parking on Church Street, for instance, isn't visitors. A lot of the people coming in at the north, the Glossop end of the village fast, are not necessarily visitors. And the amount of traffic on Swallow House Lane, often fast actually, often parents picking kids up from school and things like that. So we've got, as well as the visitor problem, if you like, we've got a day-to-day problem with traffic simply because we're a village that predates cars. So what I'm wanting really is just for us to approve the clerk getting in touch with Steve Alcock, who's under tremendous pressure, of course, and his department's been cut and things like that, but and asking for a report or a progress report, if any, on the 20-mile-an-hour zone proposals. I'm not committing us to them, I'm just reopening, I'm just suggesting we reopen that in the absence of the calming measures that were going to be implemented on Swallow House Lane. So it's just a preliminary reopening of something we've already asked for in the past.
Eva and then Mick.
I second everything Dave said, and everything he said is true. And this did take place and nothing came of it. So I think it's an excellent idea.
Mick.
Yeah, I'm all for this as well, because I do feel that the speed limits around Hayfield, not just in the village, but in the surrounding roads, I think should be cut personally. The one in the village, Dave's proposing 20 miles an hour. You'll see often in Derbyshire, when you go around, you'll see 20 is plenty signs up, particularly when you come near schools and things. I feel that we need to tighten things up down by the school on Swallow House Lane, because as Dave was saying, the transport cars move very, very quickly down there, particularly during times when the children are going to school. So in conjunction with what Dave's saying, I feel that also if you take the part of the town from the Packhorse, you can just envisage that, and also up to the chapel end. Something I've been thinking about, that we should maybe consider making that area, this is a little bit separate to Dave's, but it's I think it's also relevant, making that area pedestrian priority area, where the cars are made aware that the pedestrians, because you see things like these mobility scooters, etc., going up the town and or up the main street rather, and also walkers, and they're always having to dive in, and parents with their children, etc. So I think that maybe something down the line, Dave, I would like to see accompanying that sort of move to calm traffic generally for the, I've mentioned this many times in the past, and prioritise pedestrians a little more. I think
that is probably something for another meeting, Mick, because what we've got in front of us here is Swallow House Lane traffic calming. So if we can just stick to that, that's on the agenda, and if you know, if you want to talk about that, the traffic group wants to talk about that, you know, that needs agendering for another meeting. I've got Martin, then I've got Dave Toft again.
Originally, when the Glade was built, there was some money set aside to do this calming thing. So I don't know whether that's disappeared or whatever, but there was about 18 grand, you know, for calming. So we have got, there should be some money there to help this situation.
Dave Toft and then Eva.
Yeah, just going back, I mean, these are all interesting points, but I'm not proposing we implement these things. What I'm proposing is that we get the clerk to write to Steve Alcott for more information about what happened. When we get that report back, we can then consider lots of these things. But I just want to reopen the issue, if you like, at this point. So just that we give Andy permission to write on our behalf to Steve Alcott and just ask him for an update on it all.
Well, in view of the fact that nobody's spoken against it, I take it we're all in favour of that. So I'll say that as a proposal from Dave, seconded by Eva. All those in favour? Okay.
Can I just say, Tony, when Andy writes to Steve, this question of this money keeps coming up. And Steve has explained to us once. Can you ask him to explain to us where the 17,000 has been spent, please?
I think the usual thing with 106 monies is that it's kept there in a pot unless they find another spend for it in the locale. And,
I think they have. He will explain what he spent, Tony.
Yeah, but it is quite. There are quite strict rules on the spending of 106 monies, so it wouldn't do any harm to ask where we are with the 17,000.
Please.
Okay. Agenda item 14. This is you, Mick, isn't it?
Yeah. This is in a way follows on. You know, it's connected with what Dave was saying about cars in the village, etc. What I'd like to see the council support today, or general support, for a program of encouraging people to, particularly over short distances in the village, to leave their cars at home and to consider the cycling and the walking option. My main sort of reason for proposing this at this stage is that we all understand that physical fitness and your own personal resilience does sort of stand you in good stead in times like we are at the moment. And I'd just like to, some way, maybe consider sending out a leaflet to the parishioners to just explain that the parish council are behind them in terms of trying to help them to get a little bit fitter and to use the basic options of walking and cycling in preference on occasions, particularly over short journeys, to encourage them to as I say, walk and cycle.
Eva.
I like the idea of people using cars less, but I think one of the big things is the people going to school who could walk with the children are the main offenders, because as the older people say, if you're in the village and trying to cross the road at school time, you just can't cross. And I think it is quite unacceptable to send leaflets out to our parishioners about keeping fit and doing things. I think at this time it would be absolutely appalling.
Dave.
Yeah, I think, again, I think this idea of encouraging more walking, though, the walking bus was a huge success, wasn't it? And when the road was actually closed and people couldn't drive the kids to school. And so, I mean, I think there's some good ideas there. We've got to be careful that we're not lecturing people. I agree there. But there's no doubt that if people are walking and not using their cars, that is a win-win for everybody in the village, and it makes people fitter as well. So as far as I read that, it's just asking that we have a look at the issue, Mick, isn't it? Look at ways of doing that. I think it's something we should be involved in as a parish council, and it does fit into that overall strategy of using cars far less, actually. I mean, I'd agree with Eva, we can't preach at people. I don't think that's what Mick is saying, really. It's that we should just look at schemes like the walking bus that were very successful, very simple, and very good for everybody, I suppose.
But just before I bring Kath in, you know, I'm supportive of the things that have been said, but how do we move it forward? That's you know, yeah, you know, great, but anyway, Kath.
I was being a bit frivolous. I just wanted to, I'm like you, I want to know how we can stop people buying SUVs. Absolutely, they're killing the planet, they're killing the village. It's just madness.
Well, this is, sorry.
So, go on, Mix.
Okay, Tony.
Yeah, sorry.
One of the reasons, you see, this not discouraging, but encouraging the fitness, looking at it from the walking and cycling angle, as opposed to the other end of stop using your car. But if we look at it from the fitness angle, it has got a win-win result to it, because it also, Eva, has a knock-on effect for the environment. Because if we can get people to use their cars less, then the air quality improves, etc., etc. So it's, I do take your point, Tony, about how we're going to move it forward. But I thought if we just got tonight a general feeling of support about getting behind the parishioners and trying to encourage them to look out for their physical fitness and show that we're aware and we're also behind them in any sort of move we can to sort of improve that. If we can just show them that the parish council supports moves in this direction, whether it be done with a leaflet or, I mean, you're more experienced than I am, but that was something which I thought might work, a leaflet to explain the benefits of, as Dave was saying, walking particularly.
my own view is that perhaps we could get the school's view on this, and if we could somehow work in conjunction with the school, it may be pie in the sky, but if the school was supportive, we could perhaps give the children a leaflet to take home. Now, only half of them will arrive home if they're anything like my kids, but you know, a half's better than nothing. I just think that, you know, that's a possible angle that we can. But other than that, I've no ideas to move it forward. Lisa, where was Lisa gone? Did you have your hand up, Lisa? Sorry. No.
No.
Okay.
I know
All right.
Steph, the head of the school, is keen on the walking bus. He was, you know, he encouraged us quite a lot. I mean, that's stopped now because of COVID, as you know. But the walking bus, it wasn't really, Dave said it was a big success, but I used to go on the walking bus once a week, and I would class it as a qualified success. There wasn't enough parents who got behind it, but if we could all sort of, as you said, Tony, possibly contact the school and maybe get a leaflet sent out and get behind this sort of fitness and routine, or not fitness, but also discouraging the car, then I think it has to be a good thing for the village.
Okay, I'm going to bring Kath and then Eva, and then I think we'll draw.
Is it something we could look at through the climate change group, do you think, Mick?
It is, but I was just for general support from the rest of the parish council to see that it's a way we can proceed for the time being.
Yeah, I'm thinking we could still do that through the climate change group, and perhaps design a leaflet ourselves and get it printed.
We could do, or we could put it to the wider council today and maybe consider getting a leaflet together. I don't want.
Well, let me bring Eva in, and then I'll make a proposal, and we'll see if that succeeds or falls. Eva.
I think the first line is to do it through the school, because the headmaster, I have had long conversations with him, but as he says, outside the gate isn't his power. And I think if we sent something done through the parish council to the school, to the parents, it would have some effect.
Okay.
It would.
I'm going to make a proposal. We write to the school, whether it be the governors or whether it be the head. The head's probably the proper person, and asking for to meet once the school's returned to discuss the use of cars in bringing the children to school, and see if we can move it forward from there together with the school.
What about, Tony, the wider use of cars in a sort of, you know, take the school out of the equation? Can we have an influence in a wider context? That's what I was thinking as well, you know.
I think we've got to start with the school and see how
I think we start with the school, mate. And the trouble is with these things, when you start talking about cars, you know, I've told this tale before, but a person I know that drives faster than anyone else that I know, the fastest driver, and you know, you just like close your eyes when you're driving with them. They moved to a new area, and it was a 40 mile an hour area, and they got onto Derbyshire County Council again and again and again to get it reduced to 30 mile an hour because it was dangerous. But he jumps in his car and drives at 50 miles an hour in a 30, and you know, people are hypocritical. Oh yeah, it's a great idea, but don't ask me to do it.
Yeah.
Go on, Lisa.
We're not put this in a newsletter. We've not got a newsletter due to go out with other items in it as a starting point.
Yeah, that'd be excellent, Lisa.
It could go there, but I think we should write to the school as well. But anyway, Kath, then Dave.
Oh yeah, as well.
Kath and then Dave Tough.
I just wanted to speak a bit in defence of parents. I take Martha to school most days, and a heck of a lot of parents do walk to school with the children. Some of them leave the cars in the bus station car park and walk across the bridge. It's a lovely little walk across the bridge and then across the old school fields. And there's quite an army of us that walk across there in the morning and back again. So not all parents are bringing their SUVs to the school gates.
Dave.
Yeah, no, I'd like to support what you were saying, Tony, and I think that can be taken together with what Lisa said, really, because we seem to all be agreeing in principle that it would be a good thing for everybody to discourage car use that isn't necessary. And Lisa's idea of the newsletter article in there, we could explain that and explain how it's win-win to everybody. But it's a very practical step as well to contact the school, the chair, governors, and the head as well. So I think both of those together, if they were in one proposal, would be really effective.
Okay, Andy, can you wrap those up into one proposal that we contact the head at the school and we put that in the next newsletter whenever that might be in the present circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'll take mine as a proposal. Dave Toft as a second. All those in favour of that, please. Anybody against? One against. That's carried. Okay. Agenda item 15, group reports. Andy, Little A Field Advisory, you've been in contact.
Yeah, we've the group hasn't met as such, but we've moved forward with the works that we authorised, and their preferred tree surgeon, whatever, Mr. Chapman, is attending tomorrow. So move forward. Nothing else to report about the Hayfield.
Is that, are you having a Zoom meeting with them?
No, we haven't set that up yet.
Right.
I think the time has come when I'm going to have to, and it's you and me, Chair.
Yeah, that's fine. I think another thing that I would raise with that is the National Trust land there. There's a number of trees that are overhanging, which I think let's have that meeting. But I do think it's time that we contact them, ask them to address the issue. But that's fine. Traffic management, has that met?
I don't think at this stage there's any point in us having a meeting, Tony, because every aspect of the people who are involved are under pressure, like the highways and everything. But there's one thing I'd just like to say. A lot of the problems in the village, particularly at weekends, are people shouting at visitors that they're parking outside their house. The thing is, when we buy a house, we do not buy the road. And people have got to accept that. And it would save so much upset and bitterness that's going on. And we're going to call a meeting when things are more settled, if that's all right with the other two members.
Okay. Mick?
Yeah, I don't know if it's relevant at the moment, but I wonder if we could follow up the certainty that the cameras on the bypass road are actually fully working, because during the summer that road became extremely noisy with motorbikes going down, etc., and cars seem to be ignoring the speed limit completely. And I would have thought had the cameras been working, that definitely wouldn't be the case. And I wonder if we can follow that up to see if those cameras have got a film in them and are working efficiently, so that we can get the speed limit on that particular road reduced to what it should be.
I think you're perhaps showing your age there, Mick, with the film. They don't use film anymore.
No.
But I'm pretty confident there. But Mick, you know, you've raised this before. Make an FOI to the Derbyshire Constabulary about it.
Make a what? Sorry.
Freedom of information request. I'm confident that they are working, but
And they are. And I've been.
you know, I know somebody's got done for it.
Yeah, they're definitely working. And it doesn't matter. It's like Tony says, if you put it in the middle of the road, only go at 40, there's somebody who'll go at 60. And the cameras are working.
But by all means, make an FOI. Dave Tuft.
Yeah, I'd just like to agree with what Eva said there. I mean, we tend to be discussing traffic as part of full council at the moment anyway. And I don't think that meeting as a committee would move that forward at the moment. And also the idea, as somebody else said earlier, the problem with visitors and Kinder Road isn't going to be solved by any easy sort of measures, and shouting at people isn't helping anybody. If somebody's driving all the way up from London, they're already here by then. And I think we as a council on the last few meetings, we're looking at every strategy we've got, from education and information and so on, and continue to look at that. But as Eva said, really just shouting at people it just makes everything worse in the end. It's got to go through the proper systems. And we've been talking to the police officer tonight as well. You know, we're doing everything we can do. And I'm sure as a villagers on the whole will also take that attitude that it's not a simple problem at all.
Okay, right. The climate emergency group.
A meeting.
We didn't meet this month, so there's nothing to report there, Tony. We had a month off for the Christmas period, and we resume again this month.
Okay. Reports from outside bodies. Is there anything to report from any of the outside bodies? Hayfield allotments?
They've got the bills and the new gates going in, although the ground's a bit frozen, so we've had to bring in some heavy machinery.
Okay. There's nothing, is there, even from the educational charity?
No, at the moment, no.
Yeah, there was.
We're digging into it still.
Right. Yeah. The football and communities club?
No, nothing to report there.
Nothing from the village hall, Lisa?
No, nothing.
Okay. Arden Quarry, they not met for months. Without a doubt, there's been less traffic. Ironically, it did smell 2 days over Christmas. It had a 2-week shutdown and 2 of those days, but I did report it. Hayfield Quarry, has anybody
We
done
haven't
anything about that?
No.
Okay. Now then, Community Orchard.
Sounds like there's only me doing any work here. We had our inaugural meeting last night of the steering group. They've decided that they would like to become a constituted group on the same lines as the allotments group. That gives them a bit more freedom and autonomy. We've got, we set our budget and we've set a planting plan or schedule for this year. And we're concentrating more on fruit bushes this year, which is very cheap according to our gardeners. All it needs is cuttings off existing fruit plants. And those bushes that I didn't know where they'd been put in when I sent the report, apparently they've all been put in the library, around the library. So we can all take our secateurs up there and take cuttings off all the bushes up there, and probably plant them in our own houses until we found a home for them. So the findings on the banks underneath the DCC land is absolutely that fits in with our criteria for this year. We've also got quite an exciting project that we're bubbling on, which is that there was a fence apparently on the path on the old school field that had to be removed and cut up because it had gone rotten. So we're looking at making a sort of bush fancy fence that we could get some community artists in to do that. And it needs a bit of a safety barrier, apparently. We'll have to have a site visit. I'm not 100% sure how far up or how far down it was. so we're going to, as I say, recruit a community artist to make a fence. If that's unfeasible, we'll just be planting the fruit bushes. We've got long-term plans for looking at having a word with Little Hayfield.
Where did I get this from?
I don't know, just one second. Could I be excused after I've finished my report? This little one's getting a bit tired, and
I'd just like to say something before you go, Kath.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, I'll say it now. What I was thinking is that thanks for all the information that you dug out. I propose that for the February meeting, we look at how we can work with Sustainable Hayfield and the community orchard, to develop a relationship. You've been doing it on your own. I believe previously there were 2 councillors involved.
Yes, that was the last thing I was going to say. I haven't finished my report yet. So as I say, we have some long-term planting.
Sorry, I thought you needed to shoot off.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking if I can leave after I've finished my report. Sorry, I've lost my thread now. So we set up the budget. The budget is written. And yes, that was the other thing I was going to ask. I'm a member of Sustainable Hayfield. Everybody on the steering group is a member of Sustainable Hayfield. So it's a totally fluid process. Most of the village are members of Sustainable Hayfield. So it's a completely, but for a working relationship, for the future, I know that they've said that they wish to carry on with the Apple Day project, and I don't know how that's fixed really. I mean, I've sort of dug out all the old paperwork on it, and the school orchard and the orchard project are all one apparently.
Yes.
And the trees on the school field are looked after with loving care by Tony Moss, who is the school gardener, and the Apple Day is a huge local event now. But I wanted to protect Sustainable Hayfield for any misunderstanding that might happen over Apple Day. So I don't know how should I incorporate. I don't know how I can separate that out or whatever. Yeah, Jackie's got a hand up. She might.
Yeah.
I know. I'll bring Jackie in a minute. I think what we're lacking at the moment is a sort of a mutual aims, and there's a feeling at times we don't know what's happening, despite reports, and you hear things in the village. So I just think we want to formalise a relationship as we have done with the allotments. Jackie.
Yes, I was going to support Kath on the subject of Apple Day. When they set up Sustainable Hayfield about 10 years ago, they needed to have an event. It was a condition of getting some grant money. And in the event, it's turned out to be really successful and grown year on year. And it very much is and was Sustainable Hayfield's effort. And it was sort of intrinsic to their organisation. I don't know whether they still get funding for it or not, but it was very important.
Well, I think all that will be part of making it an agenda item for February. And as Kath said in her email, it's important to look back how we've got to where we are, but more important than that is how we're going to move this forward and get involvement. And I think some of the things that are done, it's great to get kids involved. I think.
Well, that was the whole point of the orchard project right from the beginning, was to involve kids and teenagers, which is exactly how it's worked. Up until lockdown, we were involved in scouts and guides in the apple picking. We didn't fare too well this season, because we had no child labour, which is a bit of a bad, which is a bit of a negative statement. But we missed the child labour, and I believe the school part of the project is now part of the curriculum. It's years 1 and 2 on the curriculum. So Sue McCall set this up, and I had quite a nostalgic time of it, looking through all the paperwork, because John McCall had done a beautiful map of the school orchard, the school bit of the orchard there, obviously to support Sue, and she'd done school assemblies and all sorts of things. So I think it's fantastic that the school are so much involved with the orchard. And as I say, it covered a lot of stuff on the curriculum, like maths, measuring how much soil you needed, and the environment and horticulture and all sorts of things, and in years 1 and 2 curriculum. I don't know whether they are still including it in the curriculum. I don't see why not, but I'm personally not going to be bothering Mr. Papadopoulos with anything at the moment, because I think he's got enough on his plate. So I think we could make the decision for if it's feasible for Sustainable Hayfield to go ahead with Apple Day next year. This year,
I'm sure it will be. Because, Dave.
Yeah, I'd like to second Tony's thing, really. I mean, there's a lot of goodwill towards the orchard project, but there are a lot of things that I don't understand, actually, and things that have happened as it's evolved, where there's sort of a bit of confusion as to the structures and so on within which it operates. So I'd like to second Tony's thing that we try and sort that out by putting it on the agenda next.
Yeah, well,
if I can just say,
hopefully,
Kath, hopefully it will be a thin agenda in February. We can't foresee anything coming up. So, is there anything else on your report, Kath?
No, as I say, that was the structure of the meeting, that we are going to be forming a constituted steering group. I do need another councillor on that.
We'll sort that out. We'll sort that out next month, Kath. Promise.
Okay, right.
Promise.
Could I leave and put my baby to bed now?
Yeah, you do that.
Thank you very much indeed.
All the best.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye now.
I hope they're all right.
Sorry?
I hope they're all okay.
Me too, yes.
Okay. Moving on then, 17's to note the finance accounts for payment.
There's apologies. I noticed that I appear to be trying to pay Peter Webb £113. I'm not. There's an extra one gone in the net cost of BACS 808. The net cost is 1336.
Yeah, and making the 1603.
The bank's right. The big payment there is the last payment for the bridge, which would be very nice to get onto the accounts before the finance meeting, balance everything up.
Yeah, fine. I think the other thing is that we waited a damn long time for the bridge, but he's done a damn good job.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
I'm left it tidy.
I'll tempt Providence. I know I'll get criticised, but I'll say it was worth waiting for.
Yeah, I agree.
It looked fantastic. Definitely.
Yeah, far better than I thought it would. Far better.
Yeah. It'll look great when all the like the Civic Trust and the different groups, the Trespass Group, and people who've got their insignia and badges going on there. It really will look great when that's finished.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of
parish council bit in the middle on both sides.
Okay, so I'm going to propose those payments. Will somebody second them?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favour? Thank you. To note the payments. December report to be noted. We note it, don't we? Yes. And the Finance Committee note payments authorised at the December Finance Committee.
I don't know why I've not printed them, but you had them in the minutes.
Yeah, we've had them in the minutes. Yeah, okay, and we note those as well. So the next parish council meeting will, of course, be the budget meeting in 2 weeks today, the 20th, and then the meeting. The monthly meeting will be the 3rd of February, if that's right, Andy.
Yeah, bang on. Can I just ask Jackie and Dave, would you look to tick the boxes on the unit is down for taking payments tonight? So would you just tick the waiting authorizations tomorrow morning? The payments you've just authorized, could I just rely on you to log on?
Yeah.
Thanks. And email me or text me when they've gone.
I'll email you as usual.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Can I remind the meeting on the finance meeting on the 20th, it starts at 7 o'clock, if I can just remind everyone.
7 o'clock, is it?
Yes, 7 o'clock, not 7:15.
Right.
Okay, well, with that, thanks very much. And
Bye.
fair night.
Thanks.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Cheers, Tony.